Hey, Cory.
Hey, Camille.
What you been doing?
Well, first of all, before I tell you that, I just realized something. We've had, I think, 3 guests on Barn to Boardroom from Missouri. Mm-hmm. And you're wearing a Fernley Farms t-shirt from Ozark, Missouri. And there's been a lot of Missouri on Barn to Boardroom over the last past year. But what have I been doing? Well, I've been stressing Andrea Charlotte, our little, her ear tag is 220B, but we've named her Andrea Charlotte. But as you know, about 3 weeks ago, she was in transition pasture, and I know she had a pretty nasty limp. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, oh boy, do we got an abscess? I'm going to have to get the hoof guy out here. And he brings out this apparatus that you put her in a squeeze chute, or you put the cow in a squeeze chute. It grabs the hoof, and he can get in there. But you're kind of at that point where, do you just give it some time, or do you bring in the hoof person? But so the first thing you do is you isolate them. So got her in her own corral, got her in the lean-to, gave her a bunch of straw a couple weeks ago. And I did notice this morning she seemed to be walking pretty good. And she kind of gave me that look like, I want to get out of my bedroom. I want to go run and play. So threw her back in the transition pasture, and she got out. She's bucking and running, and she's sprinting. And we don't have a ton of snow. Yeah. So she's able to sprint across the transition pasture. And the reason I've got mud and guck on me right now is because I ran to plug in the electric fence thinking like, oh my gosh, because cows can smell if it's hot or not. Yeah. And so I ran to do that, but I tripped and fell. But she didn't go through it. But
she's
so sorry.
Happy. She's a happy cow.
We talk about the smells a lot because it seems like we tape right after, in the mornings right after I come in. We come in from doing chores. Yeah. But speaking of chores, I have to say something. If you've checked our social media lately, I was out of town doing some work with some collegiate athletic teams the last couple of weeks. And Camille and our youngest daughter have been running things here. And Camille put out a video of what people think she looks like when she's feeding cows versus actually. And I think everybody should go probably check it out.
Most days I'm in my pajamas if I have to do chores.
But you're wearing a great pair of mucks. Yeah. A great pair of mucks. But anyway, so our guest today, you're going to introduce her?
Yeah, is Cindy Still. Cindy Still was raised on a dairy farm in Idaho. She grew up singing country songs at the top of her lungs and learning to solve all of life's problems.
Wait, hold on. That's probably the best intro right there. We could stop right there.
Yeah. She milked cows and driving tractors, rewriting happy endings every time. She married a cute Idaho boy, so did I, and is the proud mother of twin boys and a sweet baby girl. She loves making breakfast, baking, photography, reading a good book, and staying up way past her bedtime to craft stories that will hopefully make you smile. She is she's written several books, rom-com writer. I'm so excited to talk to her. Welcome, Cindy Still. Mm-hmm. All right. Welcome, Cindy Still. We're so excited to chat with you today.
Hi, Cindy.
Thank you. It's so fun to be here.
So I let's just kick off. I know you're working on something right now, or you just finished something. What have you been doing?
Oh my goodness. I finished this book that has been plaguing me for like 3 years. So it's been a really fun last couple of weeks to get it done. I just got it back from editors. So now I'm kind of formatting it for books and getting it to early advanced readers and things like that. So it's just been a big sigh of relief. But yeah, it's the last book in my Pride and Prank series, which is kind of a little farm series, and this one was about farm romance. I write sweet contemporary romance, but and this was about a beloved character named Jake, and there was just a lot of pressure because I loved him so much, and I just really wanted to make sure I got him right. So anyway, but he is done, and it feels so good to say that finally.
Yay.
Yeah. Yay. So he should be out next month sometime. Hopefully by February 18th is what I'm thinking. So
well, that's I was, we talk about the cowboy code a lot, and usually we kind of recap at the end of it, but I feel like just with your background and what you just went through, one of the cowboy codes of the West is always finish what you start, and how applicable that is with you.
Yes. Yeah, there was times writing this where I did not know if I was going to get it done. And it sounds so dumb because it's just it's a rom-com. It's not like it's going to break earth-shattering records here, but it was.
Oh, I disagree.
I wanted it to be
I
good.
disagree. It's going big.
It's going to be big. But I just wanted it to be right for the character, and it just took a lot of like back and forth and one step forward, two steps back, and it was just a really hard book for me to write for some reason. But now I've gotten to the place where I do love it, and I've loved these characters, and it just feels so good because it was hard. And I used to be, before I got more involved in writing, I was the type of writer who had like a bunch of starts. Like I'd have all these story ideas, and I'd have a bunch of little 1,500 word starts or a scene idea of different books on my computer. And I didn't know how to finish the book. I didn't have the skill set to finish yet, or what it took to, complete a whole book and stuff. So a lot of trial and error. But yeah, I'm very familiar with the idea of like finishing what you start, because that has always been such a hard thing for me. But now, as I'm this far in my career, which is 5 years,
That's
so
awesome.
not super far, but it teaches, every book just teaches you so much, and you just really have to find the grit to get through the hard, because it's easy to write the fun scenes that you love that are so fun, but to do the whole book all the way through, it just takes some grit and discipline, and some days you don't feel like you have that.
Yeah.
Cindy, I've got a question for you. Growing up, did you know you wanted to be an author or writer growing up? When did you say, hey, this is what I want to do?
So what's so cool about it is that, like, I always knew I wanted to do this. Even as a young kid, I remember our family first got their family computer. I think I was in grade school. And so we had this big honking computer, and I was up there just typing away at these little stories that just came to my head. And I was just always been a writer, and I always knew I wanted to get there someday. But when I was little, like, or even just growing up in high school, like, it seemed so unattainable. It was such a hard road to get there. You'd finish a manuscript, and then you had to send it out to 20 or 30 queries and then get rejected and then send it out. It was just such a hard thing. But indie authors things have changed, and there's lots of easier paths. Not easy, but there's paths that can get you there in an easier way, I guess, for me.
Yeah, I understand. You use the word rejection. How would you handle those situations? Because, like you mentioned, it would be time after time. How would you not just go, you know what, I'm gonna quit? And then kind of a follow-up question after that is, we've already talked, we've mentioned Code of the West a lot, but part of it is living each day with courage. I got to think that takes a lot of courage to say, I'm going all in, I'm going to be an author. How do you work? How did you, first of all, how did you handle the rejection and still do? And then what steps did you take, or what made you go, you know what, I'm doing this, we're going?
Mm-hmm. So with rejection, I never tried the traditional route. So I've never dealt with rejection yet in that sense, other than I've dealt with bad reviews and critics. But the initial rejection process, I think that would have been so hard. And I think a lot of people 20, 30 years ago, I think they did stop. Like, if you get rejected so many times, and some people are in the hundreds of getting rejected, there wasn't another avenue to pursue back then, but now with social media and the internet and things have just changed the ball game slowly over the years to where you can become your own publisher and your own, you take out that middleman, and it just changed the game. But so I've never actually tried the traditional route. It's not to say I wouldn't one day if some opportunities came up, but now it'd be probably a little different anyways, because I'm more further in my career, so I have stuff to back up what I can tell people. But yeah. So that whole thing's just different now, with at least the route I chose to go through, which was indie. But and then what was your second question? Sorry.
Courage. I mean, it took courage, I'm sure, to say I'm all in. And you mentioned critics. Like, there's there's critics in all things. I mean, we could probably even have a few when we drop this podcast about all three of us, right? And how did you just go, you know what, I'm doing this, I'm all in, we're going to go?
So honestly, the hardest thing for me, I remember doing this because I remember saying, I'm going to just try it. But I'd been a photographer for years. I was a wedding photographer and portrait photographer for years when we lived in Twin Falls, Idaho. And then my husband took us, we decided to do travel nursing. And so we kind of moved around the country for a bit and we settled in a different area. And so I couldn't really do photography while we were moving so often. And I didn't, anyway, I just tried a few different creative things that just never worked out. And I finally was like, I think I joined a critique group online and I had a couple stories in the wings and I just decided to go for it. But I remember it being so scary when I decided to make my first my author Instagram page. Because Instagram is where I do probably 90% of my marketing. And I made that page, but it was just putting yourself out there, putting an author on it. And I mean, it's still hard to tell people I'm an author sometimes. For some reason, it just feels like you're not really an author. Like you're some impersonator, you always just have those doubts. It's a little easier now, but at the beginning it was hard. And then just to come out of the gate, author Cindy Steele, I hadn't produced any books, but you kind of have to start getting your marketing going and teasing people about things and getting your foot in the door. And so you just kind of do it, but without anything to back it up, and then ever so slowly you add a book and then you add a book. But it's hard, it was really nerve wracking and it still is. And I feel like, especially with an indie author, you don't have a traditional publisher to back you up. And so you're always trying to prove yourself, I guess. You don't expect the person next door to you to actually be decent at writing, because I'm more surrounded by the local community. I don't, and so you're always proving yourself. And, some people won't like your books and that's fine, but it's just this big uphill battle, I guess, kind of. But the whole social media and stuff is just kind of changed the game. And I know you guys have probably dealt with it too, but it's just this double-edged sword for me as an indie. Like it has completely changed the whole game for me as an author and as what I can do now on my own in my own house, not have to do anything with anybody else.
Well, you're not.
You're
just not having to change because of a recommendation from. I mean, it's yours, right? Like it's your brand.
Yeah,
it's what you want it to be like. That's awesome. Like,
Yes.
I mean, I don't know anything about the editing world, but from what I've seen on TV or read in books, that they want you to change it because they feel the readers want this, and you're just putting it out there because you love it.
Yes, and there is something because I do hire my own editors. So I have about 3 editors I work with. So when I first finish a draft, I'll send it to there's 3 different types of editors I work with, but a developmental kind of helps me look through. I mean, I just tell her, find what's wrong, help me fix it. There's usually something, quite a few things that they're helping me tweak or change or give me ideas for stuff. But ultimately there's not, I can choose what I change or not, or what advice I take or not. Whereas opposed to if you're going through one of the big 5 and, they will probably tell you, take this out, you have to take this out or you have to change this, where I can make kind of my own choice on that, but I still have editor input. And I more often than not take, I'm very cautious about, I'm not cautious, I'm very open about taking advice because I know I've worked with editors before and I know which ones can help me and understand my vision and my voice in a book and stuff. So, but I'm essentially still in control. I'm paying the editors, so it's a little bit a different vibe than a traditional route. It's just changed the whole game. And when you're kind of the one in charge of your publishing, but in your marketing and your editing and things like that, but it's a lot of hats to wear.
Yeah.
But it's been really rewarding. It's been really fun. I've loved doing it. So
I got to tell you what, what I've loved in your books, like I'll be your little editor critic for just a second. Just kidding. I love that their personalities pop out right away. Like to me, reading your books, versus someone else, like I'm like, I just can already tell that this person's a little bit salty and this one's a little bit spicy. This one's got the sense of humor. This one's more driven. Like it pops out to me in the first few pages. And I think that's such a gift for you as a writer, like just to be your little fandom right now. That's, and I still have 2 more of your books to read, but that's what I've loved about them so far. Like even the one with the kiss cam, like to me right away, just sitting there in those seats, I could just pick up their personalities. And I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Cindy, any future plans to add a Cory character to any of your books?
Heck yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find the right book to put you in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll probably never happen.
You might be the villain, more of the what do they call them? Not the good guy, the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to go back, Cindy, to something you said. You said it's hard to say I'm an author, and I'm Cindy Still. I'm the author, and we live in the same hood. We'll say we're neighbors, but where we live, neighbors is down the road. And what is really cool, and I think about, we still have a young daughter. Well, we have a daughter. Our youngest is still at home. Our oldest, who is a big time reader, big time fan, who's married, lives in Utah. But you are Cindy, and I think that draws out your brand when we find out that, she's Cindy Still, the author too. And because I got asked, when I first got to know you and James, I'm like, hey, these are the Stills, James and Cindy, and someone made a comment to Camille, and I there's Cindy Still, who's an author, and just kind of joking around, and Camille went and looked, and she said, it's the same person. And this is when you first moved to the area a few years ago. And so what I've really loved, and I know Camille can say the same thing, is that as we've gotten to know you and your family, and your background, you can see where, and Camille actually said this, over the holiday break, as she was reading one of your books. She said, you can see Cindy's personality and her culture and the way her and her family are come out, in her books. And you're very helpful in our community. You're always willing to jump in and do those things. So we appreciate that we know you on both sides. And I would hope that any critic out there would jump in and say, I want to know who Cindy is. But how do you handle that where, you've got to live your authentic life. But do you ever feel pressure to, like, maybe you need to change a little bit of your outward culture to fit into the space of being an author a little bit more where it is public?
That's always kind of a thing that you're wondering about all the time, because you look on social media, it feels like people can be so extroverted on there, but when you meet them, they're not at all. It's just like there's always pressure to be something. I feel like being an author in general, I'm always feeling like I'm not doing enough of something, because we're in charge of all the things, for our books. And so you're always feeling like you're lacking in something, but I don't know. For the most part, it has been hard. And when you get bad reviews, which happen to everybody, and you have to kind of, now I've learned a little bit more on how to keep myself separated from the negativity with things. Because no matter how beloved a book might be or something, you get those negative reviews, and those are the ones you remember, and those are the ones that change you, and you think, well, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I guess that was wrong. I guess maybe I would have taken this in a different direction. But like ultimately, and there are some reviews that you can use as critical help for yourself. It's good to get critical feedback and stuff, but it's also good to protect yourself, because I think the more I'm in this business and the longer I've been in it, the more what is helpful feedback for you and what's not. And I don't know, the critic stuff, like I remember, I'm actually going to give a lesson on this pretty soon, Camilla. So spoiler, but like, I remember, I don't even remember if you asked me about this, but here we're going off anyway. So here we go. I remember, like getting my first bad review, and with you, when you have your first baby out there, your first book out, mostly it's your family and friends that are reading it, and they're always, most of them are going to be nice and fine. And, then, as the longer it's out and the more you kind of do stuff, more people are going to read it slowly. And so I remember getting my first really bad review, and it was like the sucker punch to the gut,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody has that. You get that with every book. Now I know how to kind of turn it off and where not to look and things like that. But
what's their name?
And I remember,
I'm sending Cory over.
No, we're sending Camille over the cattle prod.
Yeah, go feed these people up for me.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, but I remember I was talking to a friend, and she said, and she's an author too, and she said, it is far easier to critique than it is to create. And it's so true. And I think of that all the time in different aspects of life, that it's so much easier to just judge and to pick out these things and just determine are wrong or this is wrong. But to create something, like a book can take anywhere from, for me, it takes anywhere from 8 to 9 months to 3 years, my last one. So it's just like, there's so much into it, and a person will read it in 2 hours and judge it so completely, which is totally fine. I mean, it's just part of the game. It's part of the game, but that's still, there's a lot of stuff that as an author, we just kind of have to protect ourselves from and keep ourselves a little bit removed, which, we've talked a bit here and there about social media, but that one of the, there's so many pros with it, but one of the cons with it is that it is really hard to have a barrier between, there's so much access to you. There's, before, when people wanted to write a bad review, they had to 30 years ago, they had to write a letter, a physical letter, send it to the publisher, and who knows what happened to it after that. But it wasn't like, now we're just all so present and online, and they can find you in seconds. And I've generally been so blessed and have great reviews, great readers, but everybody has the hard and stuff. And so, and it's just, it's just learning how to deal with it and learning how to stay true to yourself, even amidst criticism, because one book, so I am one author writing, and my other friends too, so I'm just kind of speaking for all authors right now, but we're one person writing one book with our own life experiences, our own baggage, our own perception of the world and what and different characters, and we're putting it out into the world where thousands of people potentially could read this book, and they're coming from all different walks of life, all different baggage, all different things as they're reading this book, and experiences in their own life are shaping how they're viewing what you're writing. And it's just it's impossible for one book to be everything it needs to be for every person ever, so it's all just completely part of the game. And the more I write, the more I understand that, and the more I'm feeling myself kind of coming back to keeping things true to me and my experiences, even if it's not, going to be a perfect fit for everybody. So anyway, but it's a ride. It is definitely an emotional ride, because it is your baby. These things, I put a lot of heart into my books, and a lot of time and effort and heart. And so, it can be really hard, and it is a big step to just let yourself do that. Even with this new book, I kept thinking that every book I release would be easier, but it gets 1,000 times harder the more you do it. Yeah, because you know the critics, what people like or don't like, what's gonna get people riled up. if they're gonna get riled up, it now. You're kind of just more familiar with the game, but you still just do it because for some reason, I've had lots of experiences too where with things I've written, and you get so many kind, wonderful DMs or messages from readers telling you certain parts of these books changed or affected them and helped them in some way. And it's really cool. And lots of authors say that, it's that's the coolest side of this business, is that these words were meant for somebody and that somebody found it, and it's just really rewarding feeling. Even in a fun rom-com, you know, you can still have people that needed those words or needed the light when they're going through a hard time or something like that. You know, just things like that is a really cool side of the business.
Yeah. To be someone's breakaway for a minute, right? From something that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
So I know this summer you had a big collaboration with, there was 7 authors total, I believe. And you're the Falling for Summer series. That's, I've been obsessed with getting the whole collection so I can have it on my bookshelf because it's so cute. And so they're all sitting in.
The spines are so cute.
They are so cute. And
they spell out the word summer on all the books. So and that was our favorite.
And the colors are, like just aesthetically, it's so amazing. I obviously have read yours. I've read another author in that series. I have several in my cart waiting to check out so I can get them. How was it working, like everyone, these are so personal to each of you, how your own agendas, all 7 of you getting together and getting on the same page, the same vision. I mean, Cory and I could talk for hours on that when it comes to business and working in office settings and stuff like that. But, we don't think through like, how did you guys get all this together to get it out to market and all agree? Like that is one of the toughest things to do. Like, how was that experience?
If you could see my text message thread with our whole group, it was not a quick and easy thing. But I'll start at the beginning, actually, because this is the second collaboration I've done with most of the same group. I think it was the fall of 2021. I was invited to do my first. They call them MAPs, which are multi-author projects, what it stands for. And so I was invited to do my first MAP. And it was mostly that same group. And it was where Faking Christmas came from. Okay. And it was part of a series called the Christmas Escape series. And so that was my first introduction into working with a collaboration like this. And it was just a magical experience. Because I just grew to love all these authors. Nobody had a big ego. Everybody was just wanted the best for the group and helpful and easy, very much able to take and give as we needed to. And it just was such a beautiful, fun experience. We were marketing together. We were collaborating on different reels and just a really fun time. And so that was my first experience. And Faking Christmas was the book that came out of that. And so I think it was 2 years later, we decided to do another one. But this time, that was the Falling for Summer series that you were talking about. And this one was different in the fact that they wanted to combine the books. Like they wanted to have interconnecting characters and have the same world. Whereas before, the Christmas Escape series, we had the same theme. All of our characters in our books were escaping Christmas in some way. And so it was a really fun idea for that. But this one, we settled on creating like an island in Florida, like a fictional island in Florida, and then they didn't have cars on the island. It was a really fun, summery vibe. But it took a lot of work. This one was different. It was still a fun experience, and I still love all these authors, but it was very different because suddenly it was like everybody's book. And so we all had characters. Our characters had to be friends with people, and we all lived on this island and we're interacting, and there's a lot of the same scenes. Like, I mean, there's the same, like 4th of July was a big thing on the island. And so everybody's kind of weaving in and out of people's stories in this, whenever they had their 4th of July scene, And so it was a lot to bite off to do this. And it took a lot of collaboration. So we had, thankfully, I'm a type B personality, but thankfully we have type A's that will do the spreadsheets and they'll do the other things that get to the legs. Yeah.
I love that.
Camille just gave the heart sign when you said spreadsheet. That's every accountant's love language. Excel.
Yeah, that's true, Camille. Yeah, and it is not mine, but I appreciate it when people do it. So they, somebody created like this big Google Doc, and where we all, like, we talked about, we had pictures of our characters, kind of like little character bios. We had our story bios, like what we were doing. Like we had who was connected with who. We had a map of the island and like kind of where we were settling on everybody's homes and stuff. And it was a big undertaking. We had Marco Polos going where we explained things to, it was a lot of work, a lot of time extra added to just writing a book where, so much time. And when I just had a baby, so I had a newborn, you know what I mean? So my time is just so limited. But anyway, it was crazy. But
I wouldn't
by the
have
time
thought,
we were done, it was so rewarding. And the other thing we did too, because we had to have other characters in our books. So like the four best friends between like the guys' two best friends in my book and the girls' two best friends were other characters in the other books, And I think we all had to mention somebody's one author's character in all of our books, at least every character at least once or something. Yeah. We had like that rule. So, but we would put it on a Google Doc when we were finished with our manuscript, and we'd kind of let everybody in there, and they would, because unless you could read the whole book if you wanted, but if you didn't have time yet, we just searched. Everybody could search their own character's name, and so whatever we had in there for their character, they could kind of read over and make sure, like, okay, this sounds right, or they're like, oh, I think my character wouldn't say that, or he would probably say something more like this, so everyone could kind of have a little bit of say over their characters in other people's books, because that was a little bit unnerving for me to like hand over the reins for someone to take Dax or my character, and make sure that they were shown in a good light, still kind of had the same vibe, and but everybody was really, really good and good about that. So it was a ride, it was a trip, but it was so fun and really rewarding once we were finished.
Yeah. Well, what a learning experience too, to just, like in any facet of life where you need it to be a certain way, and how do you sell someone else on that, right? Like if I need this shopkeeper, it's a background character to be grouchy in my book, but you have them nice in your book. Yeah. How do you then have them see your vision? Like it is about getting people to see your vision and on the same page, and at the end of the day still be friends and want to do this again, right? Like, cause
we had a spreadsheet for that.
Yeah. See,
we had like a list of like side characters in our books.
And Cindy, she's probably going to drop off brownies at your house now. Keep saying Excel and spreadsheet. You're going to get anything you want.
Excel, spreadsheet.
Numbers. There's this like funny little meme. I'm like, I need this on a t-shirt. This is like, I created a spreadsheet and my family and friends don't think it's as cool as I do, or something like that. And I'm like, I'm getting this made into a t-shirt because I go, let me show you this, Cory. See column C, and he'll be like, here's ocean waves at that moment.
He's already checked out.
I put it in column C. Okay. Just tell me. Well, I want to meet that author who put the spreadsheet together, because I'll send her the brownies and you.
Yeah, send her the brownies, not me. I added to it, but I was no part making that happen. But
I love that. That's funny.
But yeah.
Well, if you have anybody that handles your QuickBooks there, that's the author too, that's going to go real big with Camille's QuickBooks. Like, so
any accounting software, I'll take them.
Oh yeah,
they're my people.
Yeah. Yes, I love that. I wish I was that way, but I just don't ever seem. I'm just too. I don't know.
I wish I was more type B. See, like I wish I was a little more like, can I just chill out for a minute? No. Can I be more artistic? I am trying to dive into my artistic side, but
yeah. Cindy, I've actually got a question I've been thinking about, is the process that you go through when you get an idea. How long do you sit on that idea? Do you automatically start working on it? Do you have to like go away for a while when you actually start writing or get into deep thought writing? What's kind of that process?
So it kind of depends on what I've already got going on. So like right now I'm in the middle of writing another book, and I've got another idea that I've been wanting to take off with, but I haven't had the time yet. I keep getting involved in other things. And so I have like the next two story ideas. I've got one I'm working on, and I've got one in the wings. And so it just kind of depends what you take off with. Sometimes you get an idea and you just get so excited and you would love to just dive in and just do it. But I know it takes me a year basically to get a book done. And that's if I'm on the ball, and so you just kind of have to, you have to make sure you're not messing up other plans that you've already got and you're already involved with. But yeah, once I get an idea, and I'm going to run with it and it's time to run with it. Like I do a lot of character work beforehand, and I have this book that I love. It's kind of like my writing Bible. It's the Story Genius by Lisa Cron. And it spoke to me in a very good way. It's just about developing your characters and finding out who they are, their backgrounds, what shaped them the way they are. So by the time you hit that first page, you already know, like they've had a life that you know about. And so the first page isn't actually, it's kind of the middle of their life. You know what I mean? And so you start there already knowing things and how they relate to the world and how they're going to relate to the character they meet or they already know, And so but sometimes that can take me a long time, like weeks and months to kind of settle in on the characters and how I decide they're going to interact together and how what friction they're going to have, And then they call people either like pantsers or plotters. I'm kind of right in the middle. I'm not a spreadsheet person. I can't outline my whole book before I start. I wish I could do that. That seems like it would be nice, but I usually kind of I just write a running list of like scene ideas and things I know I'm going to, like, I kind of have the idea of the book in my head, like the beginning, middle, sometimes the end, but not always. So I kind of know the direction it's taking and the few key scenes that are going to help to get me there. And then I kind of just, once I have the characters figured out, I kind of just go. And Camille probably won't like this either, but I don't write in linear order for the most part. I start by just diving into scenes that are speaking to me, but they kind of help me figure out the friction, I don't know. It just helps me with the characters, diving into a fun scene instead of like the start or building up the story without, so anyway, and then I have to kind of go back and fill in the blanks, which is the worst, but
it works. It works. Yeah. However you're doing it works great. I've lost a little sleep. My friends have lost a little sleep reading your books because we stayed up too late reading them. Couldn't come down.
That's the best compliment you can give an author.
Yep.
But yeah, so it's just a process, and it's like you're slowly just kind of putting together a puzzle for me anyways. You're just a puzzle here, a piece here, and trying to connect it and trying to, connect to a broader theme with it. And I don't know. It's every book. When I'm in the middle of a book, I never understand how I got to the end before. Like, it just doesn't make sense. There's no way I could have finished a book. This is impossible. It's so much to tie in and figure out. And it's like you're creating two full-fleshed lives out of thin air. And it's just, there's a lot of things and T's you got to cross and I's you got to dot to figure out. And it's just, but then slowly but surely you just keep chipping away at it. And then all of a sudden, like, that's what happened with this book I just finished. Like, it was 3 years of it was just constantly weighing on my mind. And I was doing other projects and working on other books, but I couldn't get it right. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out exactly how I was going to do something. And then but you just keep working at it little by little. It all of a sudden you get it back from your proofreader and it's done. That's what happened to me this week. And it was just the best feeling ever. And anyway, so
that's awesome.
It's just a work in progress every day.
Cindy, as we wrap things up, first of all, thank you again for taking the time to be with us and share some of your thoughts. I guess the final question, Camille, do you have a final question?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I have one, and I guess wrapping everything up, what advice would you give somebody that not only wanting to put their book out there, which I think a lot of people want to do, but don't have the courage because we've talked about it quite a bit, the critics, the what will my family think, will I be judged, all those things. But just in general, somebody wanting to just get going on something that they want to do that puts themselves out there, what advice would you give them? That they're kind of teetering like, should I do this or shouldn't I do it?
So that's a great question. So for me, I only kind of know my experience, but I know what kind of made me first make that jump is that I joined a critique group. And it was online. I didn't know these women, but it just needed to give, it was so needed for me to have a nudge that wasn't my mom or sister. It was like, I had this critique group and they were all other, aspiring authors. And we are still a critique group today. We're so close. We love it, and they just changed my life. But more than that, like getting my work in front of other people helped make it so much better. Getting their feedback, learning to accept critique and how to apply that into my writing was a game changer, as well as learning to give critique, because I'm beta reading. I'm reading other people's books for them to help them make it better. And I'm learning so much about the writing process from that experience, just helping other people try to make their book better, and they're helping me make my book better. Like, that's my first thing I say. Get in with a group, get your work in front of other people, learn to accept critique and take it and make it better, make it as good as you can be, and then just keep going. But for me, I needed that push, like getting for other people to push me to do this. And then it's just get yourself to conferences or take classes, learning the craft of book writing, because it is a craft. Like, I always wanted to write, and I thought, my first version of That Fine Line was my first full-length book I put out. But my first version, I started writing it when my twins were newborns. And I just had this idea, and I was like, it took me a year, and I was like, I thought it was so cute and fun and la la la. And I had a friend who was a published author. And so I reached out to her, and she wanted to read it. And so she started reading it, and she got like maybe a third of the way through, and she sent it back, and she's like, so I think you might need to work on a few other things and just this. And it's not quite ready for the New York Times bestseller is what my heart heard. And I was so sure it was. But no, it was the best thing for me ever, because I took that, and it was about 5 years between that time and when I actually like published That Fine Line. And I went to conferences. I dove in. I took classes. I learned the craft of writing a book. And she was 100% right. Like, that would have been terrible if I would have tried to release that book, not knowing anything about actually the craft of finishing a book and writing and other things. And so, and That Fine Line is still one of my best sellers today, but it's because it's because I took feedback and more feedback even after that. Like, it was just this process of refining it and becoming something great. And it taught me so much. And so, I don't know, I think just getting your work out there, even just among friends or other colleagues, that it can make a huge difference in refining your skill set first, and then the rest will come. You'll be ready for the rest of that step, but don't be afraid to have people help you.
Yeah. We have a philosophy or a guideline that we live by, and it's kind versus nice, right? She could have been nice and just said, oh, that's great, go ahead and go out to the world. But kind is wanting to have someone do better, be better.
Yes.
Having those critical conversations, being able to grow. That's what kind is. Nice is just avoiding the conflict and not wanting to give any kind of critical feedback. So that's a huge thing she did for you, like you said, and for you to be able to willing to learn through it. But that's awesome. That's an awesome experience. And we're so grateful that we got to talk to you today and learn from you and hear about your triumphs. That's awesome. And I love your books. So.
And brownies are coming, and I have some ideas for the Cory character. We'll have to collab.
Okay, great.
We'll collab. Camille, bring the spreadsheet. We'll get it all done.
Okay, great. Somebody else has to do the spreadsheet. So that'd be
great. Please make him a nerdy accountant. Please make Cory a nerdy accountant.
I got a person. Oh, I'm nerdy. I'm just not an accountant.
I love it. Well, thanks for having me on. It was so fun to talk to you guys like this.
Thanks, Cindy. We appreciate your time today. We'll talk to you soon.
Loved it. Okay,
bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, Camille, that was pretty cool to have Cindy on.
Yeah.
I think what's, and we mentioned it a little bit during it. I think what's cool about Cindy for us personally is that we know her personally. Mm-hmm. But I had to kind of laugh as we got started because when Cindy and her family first moved to the area, they're literally right down. The Steels are right down the road from us. It's not far away, but it's a little bit of a jaunt. And there's the road between our house and their house, and she walks that every morning. And what is it, Camille? 2 or 3 times a year, I get a wild hair and say, "Hey, I'm going to go walk in the morning," and that lasts about a week. But I would see her out walking, and she'd usually be on the phone or listening to music, and we'd kind of wave at each other, but didn't know who she was. And then we were able to, all of us work together in some ecclesiastical settings and got to know who she is. And what you just heard from her is absolutely who she is behind the scenes. Super kind, super nice, willing to drop anything. Her and James, they'll show up on your doorstep and help you. And so when we think of authors, they're humans though too, right? Their feelings can get hurt. They want to be kind. They want to do things, and not just authors, but people that put themselves out there. Yeah. So it was fun to, talk to her as an author, but know who she is also behind the scenes, and she's the same person.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, there were so many things I was thinking of. It was just fun listening to her, but I love the poem, "The Man in the Arena." And, like she's always in the arena, right? Like always throwing her craft, and, really our podcast should be called Barn to Everything and not just Barn to Boardroom, because you can take any organization, any craft, any industry, and at the end of the day, you're all trying to get a product that you love and out there for people to use it, enjoy it, or, and it's just fun. It was a fun conversation to have with her today. Something like that I had a lot of experience reading and listening to, and some of her books are out there on audio, and I don't know how you do all the techie stuff, but link out there for her books with
we'll figure
stuff.
it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll ask one of our kids.
Yeah.
Like we always do.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was so fun to talk to her in this kind of setting.
Yeah. Again, thanks to Cindy Steele. And Camille, what's the rest of the day look like?
Let's see. I don't know. It's just kind of a blah day, but I think I want to cozy up with a good book and check out for a minute. Let's do that. Let's say, no, not doing no chores. Just kidding. You always have to do chores, but I'm ready to cozy up to the fire with a good book. Let's do that.
Well, I'll let you start there because I'm excited to go get the tire fixed on the stock trailer. Okay. So that's what I'm going to go do today. Okay. We appreciate everybody listening. Again, thanks, Cindy, and we will see you next time. Yeah. Have a great day and
enjoy those sunsets.
Enjoy those sunsets.